Hi, I'm Wendy Lathrop for GeoLearn, and this is another run of the continuing series of seminars I'm doing on the National Flood Insurance Program. Today's session is on the I in the NFIP, the letter that is most frequently ignored by those people who are doing designing in the flood in the areas identified as the special flood hazard areas within the National Flood Insurance Program. It's important to understand the background of the why and how of the National Flood Insurance Program to make sure that our designs and our siting and the materials that we choose are most appropriate both for safety and for the insurance aspects that are associated with those kinds of construction. So we're going to start with a little bit of background about the flood insurance program in general. It was created by the National Flood Insurance Act of 1968 by Congress with three main purposes. The idea was first to identify where the floodplains were, where the areas that were most susceptible to flooding, and to map them. That provides public notice and a consistent means of ensuring and a consistent means of regulating development within those areas. Next, we have a framework for minimum criteria for sound floodplain development. If we can't keep the floodplains free of development, then we should build in them as safely as possible. And thirdly, to come up with a program that would make flood insurance available in communities that participate in the National Flood Insurance Program. We'll discuss participation a little bit more later on. The enabling legislation is found in the United States Code, Title 42, starting with Section 4001. And it identifies the purposes that Congress identified for the overall program. Basically, it was to share the risk of flooding and not just have certain people having all the brunt of it, or basically the taxpayers who were paying for the cost of disaster assistance. Instead, it would make sure that there was a flood insurance program so that those who were in harm's way would insure themselves and that the taxpayers would not be called upon to pay for additional disaster assistance. The reason for this was that homeowners' policies and renters' policies did not include, and still do not include, coverage for flood damages. So to have a special flood insurance policy that's affordable is one of the purposes of this program. Now, along with sharing this risk, we need to make sure that there's a program to encourage people to either prevent damages or, if they can't totally prevent them, then to mitigate them and minimize them through various protective measures. And those in other sessions that we've had, we discussed many of the regulations associated with the National Flood Insurance Program. Then finally, it talks about, we know that we haven't got we're just starting, we haven't got a very good idea of how this thing can grow, but we want to make sure that it's a fair and equitable program and that we're using the best scientific technology and methodology appropriate for data gathering and data analysis.